Welcome to In the Skies of Love, a critical review podcast about the anime series Legends of the Galactic Heroes. I'm Kamel, a newcomer to this revered series and your companion on this adventure. Joining me are Joel and Tom, two diehard fans of the show. Each week, we'll review and analyze an episode, exploring its characters, plot, and themes, and asking new questions about this influential TV show. So please, join us on our journey through the skies of love.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, very nice.
That's the best I've done, I think.
Yeah, that was really nice.
I heard he's the son of an actor, so...
Yeah. That's what I've heard. One of the best... No, wait. That was one of the best directors in Pakistan.
I'll tell my mum you said that. She'll like that.
Yeah. First of all, it's very nice to be back. I feel like I say this every episode because we leave it so long between recording sessions. But it's really nice to revisit. So I will read the synopsis, again, unedited, no fixes to spelling or grammar.
Single take.
The synopsis
Pristine,
from...
kept in its original condition.
Yeah, like a holy text. It's been unaltered.
Been
from
copied
the
and
Legend of the
pasted
Galactic
into
Heroes.
a Google document. But other than that, it's gone through no edit. The hyperlinks haven't been removed.
They actually are still there. Yeah.
They're still there, just in case.
Episode 10, Jessica's Struggle. Yang Wenli travels to Heinesen's second largest city with Julian Mintz, Terneuzen, in order to attend a ceremony at his alma mater. The Free Planets Alliance Officer Academy. Okay, I'm going to start again. Sorry, this is a real disaster.
One take.
One take. All right.
One take. Here we go. First take, second take.
First take. Okay, first
Here
take.
we go.
Episode 10, Jessica's Struggle. Yang Wenli travels to Heinesen's second largest city with Julian Mintz, Terneuzen, in order to attend a ceremony at his alma mater, the Free Planets Alliance Officer Academy. There he is unwillingly wrapped up in a political campaign for the district after being forced into a public show of support for Raymond Togliatti. He later reunites with Jessica Edwards, who is aiding the campaign of James Thorndike, the campaign for the Citizens Anti-War Union and Togliatti's rival. Both of them reminisces about their past together with the deceased Jean Robert Lapp in the academy. After Thorndike is assassinated by the Patriotic Night Corps via a bombing of the Citizens Anti-War Union's built campaign headquarters, Yang is interviewed by the media and asked his opinion about the bombing case. Yang condemns the bombing and agrees with the general opinion that Togliatti's party is responsible for the act. With the help of Yang's condemnation, Thorndike's substitute candidate, Jessica Edwards, wins the Terneuzen by-election by a wide margin.
What was the name of that episode again?
Jessica's Struggle.
More like Joel's Struggle, am I right?
Oh, God. Yeah.
That was tough. I
They're
really
like-
liked that you said Raymond Togliatti perfectly, and then you were like, Jessica Edwards?
Yeah. Oh, what a mess. There's a lot of made up words in here in my defense. Also, I like the grammatical mistake of both of them reminisces about their past together. Yeah. Never change.
Yeah, so should we summarize our general feelings about this one?
Yeah. You want to go first?
Sure. I enjoyed this episode. So, we'll get to episode 11, but I'll say of the two, I preferred this. It was great to see Jessica Edwards back. And yeah, it was nice to see a little bit of Yang Wenli's backstory. I think this is the first time we've done a flashback for him. Is that right?
We had the coffee scene. Yeah, the coffee scene with Federica, right? But this is a lot more in-depth. Yep.
I don't think there was a flashback scene with... Anyway, it's fine.
Yeah, the El Fasel flashback scene with the coffee.
Ah, right, yeah. Okay, yeah. When she's like a girl, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a very long conversation about how we'd restructure that episode.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking Josh just inserted his own own episode where he invented a new flashback for the show. No, okay, I'm with you.
How about you, Tom? How did you feel generally about the episode?
I think this one is not too bad. I think it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm not super into all of the kind of flashback stuff in this episode. It's a little bit cheesy, but it does give you a bit more of Yang Wenli's kind of character, or where he struggles. See, he doesn't struggle tactically or anything in his job, but he's a bit hopeless in his romantic life. And
symbolized perhaps by his complete inability to dance, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's not too bad as an episode. How did you feel?
I feel it was okay. I didn't dislike the episode. I felt there were some really good scenes and some very strong moments, but it also kind of drags, and some of the scenes kind of repeat themselves. And so I think the episode could have been a little tighter. But I did enjoy it, and it's nice to see Yang back in like civilian life, as opposed to on a spaceship.
Business casual Yang Wenli.
Literally, like my second note in my notes app is Yang's fits in this episode are top notch. He's walking around whatever the city's called, not Heinesen,
Terneuzen,
looking fly as fuck. He turns up yeah. It's good. It's good. He's got strong character design in this episode.
He's sort of he feels like he's dressed a bit like a celebrity from the 70s or 80s, and he's treated like one as well.
Yep.
Which I think is, you wouldn't see that here in this world. I don't think soldiers or military people would have paparazzi coming after them at the airport. That seems, I think that's true. To me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely sort of it does feel dated in that sense. Yeah. Okay, so should we start kind of going through the plot and the different beats and whatever notes people made? We have the immediate like Trump handshake. It's the only thing I can compare it to, where this Togliatti like pulls him into a handshake and directs his face to the camera, which I think is basically the moment that frames the whole episode, right? Like this is the central conflict of the episode, is how Yang's fame is being used by various political groups back at home. Yeah, I don't know if you had any thoughts on this either.
Yeah, I think they get it across very quickly what the situation is at home, just with this one scene, I think. Like the politics are, you already know it's kind of corrupt already from previous episodes, but it seems to have like changed, or Yang's position, or how well that he's known in the back at home has changed since he's been away, and I think it gets it across pretty quickly.
Yeah, they often refer to him as the hero of El Fasol. Is that right? Like they give him titles, and it like Yang Wenli the person does not matter. Yang Wenli the symbol is what is valuable. Yeah. He feels very Captain America-esque. Like if the politician shakes Captain America's hand, that politician's gonna end up winning. Same exact thing.
Yeah.
Is the first episode they start calling him Miracle Yang? I don't know if that's happened before.
Yeah, that's a good.
It was he said it in that interview, right? The Togliatti. I'm not sure if that's the first time someone's used it or not.
He gets that title after taking Isilon Fortress, right? So I can't remember if anyone calls him that in the previous episode, or whether maybe the outro announcer calls him that.
Yeah.
Like from then on he was called Miracle Yang or something like that. But certainly it's the first time I think a character has called him that.
I had a question about Togliatti as well. That name sounds Italian to me. Is he a reference to any kind of specific Italian far-right politician or anything like that?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm no historian. But I don't know if there's ever been a far-right Italian leader. So I don't know if he's a specific reference to anyone, though. I wouldn't be surprised. I guess the show is very firmly rooted in the 70s and 80s, and my knowledge of this stuff is quite limited. But
Yeah, I mean, I only read him through like a framework of American politics. Like he just seems like a Republican war hawk, kind of,
yeah, definitely
pushing for war.
Yeah, and he brings forward the girl whose dad has died. He tries to sort of manipulate Yang, pull on his heartstrings or whatever, or pull on the heartstrings of the voters. And
That's crazy. Where was that girl's mum?
Yeah. And it really affects Yang, right? Like in the next scene, he's kind of considering his sins or considering his failures. But the only note that I had about that was that he's wearing shoes on the bed, which I actually think is significantly worse than anything else that he's done at any point in the show. I was horrified when I was watching this scene.
Maybe the animators were given really specific directions to never ever go off model.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's rule 1. Rule 2: never show feet.
Yeah, right.
Rule 2. I had a note about that hotel room. I think it's a hotel room. Is that the architecture of that room is insane. It is huge. That room is enormous, and there's a bed and a table and nothing else.
Nothing else. Yeah.
The animators were like, "That's a hotel room, baby. That's a hotel room. What else do I need to draw?" And then the little entranceway is like, when you see it later, when the guards show up, it looks like an airlock or something. It's right. Completely different architecture. It's such a strange thing. All the rooms in this episode are huge and completely unfurnished. It's the same at the campaign headquarters that you see. It's such a strange thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was going to say that maybe the reason the first room is so huge is because they had to put like a bunch of guys in it in the very next, section. They were like, "Oh, the room's got to be big enough to fit all these characters in it." So just kind of blow up the cell a bit, and but you're right. It's just a giant empty room with a giant window, just a single glass pane like overlooking there. It's kind of spooky.
Yeah, I think the emptiness of the space is quite... I hadn't really thought about it, but now that I think about it, it makes me feel kind of like when Yang is there, like when he's in this city, or when Julian's there, it does kind of feel like they're like, why are they there? They don't really want to be there. Maybe, I guess there's a question around whether Yang does want to be there, why he's come, which does get brought up a few times. But like the emptiness of the space kind of makes me feel like they're sort of, I don't know, passing through, or they don't really have a proper purpose here, or they're not really comfortable here, or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely think it does kind of deliver that feeling. I would be surprised if that was intentional on the part of the animators, but I think every space in this episode does feel quite empty and sterile, apart from the restaurant scene, which we'll get to. So what happens in the hotel room?
A bunch of dudes break the door down and come in. I don't know how they found the room. I guess they just asked at the lobby, "Hey, where's Yang Wenli staying?" And they told him, and they came up to beat the shit out of him. But Jessica Edwards shows up to
stop Julian shooting them all.
Yeah. I made a note of that like Julian, if we had ever doubted his loyalty to Yang up to this point, or like how far he'd go for Yang, he just pulls out a gun immediately, and is ready to do manslaughter. But yes, fortunately, Jessica turns up and puts a stop to this.
Are those are the guys who broke in? Are they members of the campaign to stop war? I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah, members of the peace party, ironically.
Yeah, they're the useful idiots of the peace party, right? Like, Because they clearly overreact to this. I don't know, thing that Yang walked into through his naivety. I was actually going to mention this as well. Is that a couple of episodes ago we had a very long conversation about whether we felt that Yang was Machiavellian or just sort of stumbling into success, like whether he was aware of what he was doing when it came to politics. And I think this, like rewatching this episode, kind of made me reconsider my position on this a bit, because he clearly has no idea what's going on when he turns up, and the expectation that he might be used this way does not occur to him, which I think it would do if you were to take the opinion that he was like a Machiavellian genius. But yeah, I don't know what your kind of,
because he
what your
shows
read on
up
this is,
and then is forced into the handshake and like visual endorsement of Tagliotti.
Yeah.
And then only afterwards realizes, oh, this is why they've sent me here.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was quite interesting in the conversation that he has with Jessica afterwards. He never says that he's tricked or like, oh, I didn't mean to do it, or it wasn't my fault, or he doesn't really defend any of these things. Like, we know that he was tricked and everything, but he just kind of takes it upon himself and just says, "Yeah, I was thoughtless and naive not to consider this was going to happen. I shouldn't have put myself in that position," rather than him being kind of the victim of that situation.
Yeah, I think that's
incredibly
right.
distant from the politics the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he endorses a person he doesn't seem to want to endorse, he's like, "Well, that happened. I guess that's fine. That's the read I got on him." And then towards the end of the episode, when you would think he might want to reverse his position or make some kind of opposing endorsement or make a statement or say his opinion, every opportunity he's given for that, he doesn't take.
Yeah.
So he seems like maybe not apolitical, but veering towards it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in his personal life, he's clearly not apolitical, right? Like when he talks to Julian and talks to Jessica, and his opinion on the Peace Corps and all this kind of stuff, or the Patriotic Night Corps. He clearly has these strong opinions. I kind of read this as like a sort of military disengagement, like intentional military disengagement with politics. Like the idea that the military and the government should be kept completely separate is quite common in history, or, in like Western European history or in American history, and in Roman history, right, which is like one of the key influences in the Republic in the show. I kind of read it like that, like you're not supposed to meddle with politics as a soldier. You're supposed to just kind of let it play out, even if he does have these opinions. And
I think the scene is jumping ahead, but the scene at the end where he gets cornered again by the the journalists on the way to leaving on the plane, and they're trying to interview him about what had happened in the with the bombing that we haven't talked about yet. And he seems, it sort of reflects the first scene where he's like extremely naive, and then this time around he's a lot more careful. But he doesn't choose to just ignore them or walk away or say nothing.
Yeah.
That you might expect, like, I don't know, people would do if I was watching the news of today or something like that. Like, people would choose probably not to engage with any of the questions they were asked. He does get asked, who do you think, or a lot of people are talking about this group is behind the bombing. What do you think? And he says, I also think that. He leaves it at that, but he still comments, and it still influences, I think, what happens next.
Yeah.
That comment that he gives, isn't it something like what they did is against the Republican government?
Yeah, or it's like a blasphemy against democracy, he calls it. At least in my translation.
Yeah, we have different subtitle files.
Yeah.
That seems like a statement of fact. Like, he's not giving an opinion on it. It doesn't, or one that the military wouldn't be happy with, or it seems like a pretty rote he's not endorsing Jessica Edwards. He's not endorsing the Peace Party. He doesn't. He basically says terrorism bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Which
think
most people would agree with.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's not a very hardline position.
But at the same time, I don't think it's been proven who is behind the attack at
That's
that
true, yeah.
point. So
Yeah.
it is a little bit, maybe a little bit different. Yeah.
We're jumping ahead a little bit to the ending.
Yeah,
Shall we talk about the flashback, maybe? Like his flashback to his officer academy days, which is triggered by reuniting with Jessica, I guess.
What happens first? Does that happen first, or do they witness the attack on the man in the alley first?
That's right. Yeah, they witnessed the attack on the member of the Peace Party. Yeah,
And they go to the alley after leaving the restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we completely forgot to talk about the restaurant. Maybe the most important scene in the whole episode. So it's basically okay. So Yang and Julian are sitting in the restaurant, and someone asks for their autograph, and then after he kind of says a polite no, and then agrees to sign the document, the lights go down, and everyone starts singing the anthem of the Republic. What was your read on this scene?
I cringed pretty hard. I mean, that was pretty horrendous. I can't imagine doing that. That is like what a crazy thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess the show is kind of it's from the 20th century. So what seems cringe to us seems normal to them. But I guess like the impression that I got is that like the Democratic Republic has like been losing for a really long time, like losing battles for a really long time, and so in that sense, it's kind of understandable that Yang has become this hero, but it's also kind of insidious, right? And Yang recognizes it as insidious immediately. This hero worship of him.
It's kind of like when Michael Jordan joined the Chicago Bulls in '83. They've been losing for so many years, and now they got this guy who can really. He's like a miracle, kind of, in a way. Miracle Jordan. And he also has his little assistant guy named Julian who joins him at restaurants.
Yeah. It's just like that.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
I mean, the city does kind of look like Chicago, right, with all those skyscrapers and whatnot.
That's true.
And the restaurant, pretty.
It
90s.
looks like. That's also true.
Yeah.
It looks.
How could it not be a homage?
Yeah. I thought the city looked like if you tipped like Chicago, New York, Tokyo, and Paris into like a AI blender, this is the kind of city that you would get. Basically, we're saying that Yang Wenli is just like Michael Jordan in many ways, actually. More ways than you'd expect. Yeah,
degenerate gambler.
I'm looking forward to his baseball arc where he said, "I'm so good at war. How could I be bad at baseball?"
Don't spoil season 2 of the show. Yeah, but they're at the whole restaurant starts singing the national anthem. Yang Wenli and Julian are like, we got to get out of here. This is cringe, too cringe for us. And they start walking down an alleyway, which they start hearing a fight go on, and then that's when he sees one of the members of the Peace Party being beaten by, what are they called?
The Patriotic Night Corps. The PKC, I guess. Yep.
Good. Very, very lame name for a. What would you call them? An extremist group or a? I don't know what the word for it would be.
They're like a paramilitary, right? They're Trun Heights political organization. Yeah, which no one, as we talked about, I think in the previous episodes, like nobody is completely sure that that's the case, but everyone kind of knows it's like an open secret. Um, like the
So then
SA.
So then they drag him back to the office by he calls like a auto driving taxi, like a little bubble car
Yeah,
with his flashing debit card or something.
I mean, so ahead of its time. He basically hails an Uber, right?
But he
Like
drives it. Does he drive it himself?
he gets in the driver's seat, but I didn't know if he was actually driving.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think, and then like Julian tries to get in, and he just shuts the door on his face. And he's like, Julian, no, walk back to the hotel in this dark and we've already established dangerous city. I got some
Julian's got
business
a
to
gun.
take care of with. Oh, that's true. Yeah, he does have a piece.
Maybe he left it in the hotel.
Yeah.
Julian would never be caught lacking. He would have that gun on him.
Probably, yeah.
So he takes takes this member of the peace party back to the kind of headquarters, which is also an eerily empty, unfurnished, massive room with like a single desk.
One PC.
Yeah, just like watching cat videos or something, like in this empty office. And there's a single sofa in the corner, which is nice, you know, good,
convenient
R&R, yeah, R&R zone. And then they all assume that Yang did this, which would be a crazy thing to do, to beat someone up
and then carry them
to the place where,
yeah. But as we've established, these guys maybe not the brightest members of the peace party.
Yeah, it seems like they spent all of the political party's money on rent for these offices, and then no money left to furnish it, or to buy PCs or any other furniture.
Yeah, we can only afford one PC, so you're all going to have to gather around it and do the organizational work. But thank God we've got this sofa for when we get beaten up by the PKC. That's important.
Yeah.
Jessica comes downstairs. She's like, Yang would never do something like this, which is true. He's more of a mass murder kind of guy rather than a, beating someone up in the street kind of guy. And then they go to another eerily empty room, and he meets with the head of the peace party.
Thorn.
I mean, I think he disappears document. Basically. Yeah.
Thorndyke. Okay, that is what I was going to say. But I did have to check.
I was thinking like Thorn Clark. That's not a name. That's not a real name.
I don't know if Thorn is a real name either.
And Thorndyke is the guy who is running for election, right, as the peace candidate. Yep. Who Jessica tells Yang Wenli about him, about like his backstory and stuff, when they go out for a nighttime walk. To their old military academy. Yeah,
they do a little bit of romantic trespassing, which is it's a good date, and not that I'm admitting to anything. But then she tells him about Thorndyke, and then they have their little flashback about their time in the officers' academy.
Yeah, Yang Wenli cannot handle the physical exercise, or just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, he can't run a mile.
It's before his basketball days, so he's more of a, I don't know, more of a shooter than a dribbler, I think.
Yeah, those are the technical terms, yeah.
I think so.
They are.
Yeah. Are they?
You shoot a basketball and you dribble one, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of a look into Yang Wenli's past, which is nice. We get to see him and Jean-Robert Lapp, who we didn't actually know was like a very close friend of Yang Wenli until this episode, I believe. There was kind of the implication that they knew each other before, but we never got the impression that they were super close. I don't think. Could be misremembering.
Yeah, I think you get the impression they kind of know each other or sort of friends, but it's not. You don't really know how close they were. This seems like they're a lot closer than. Yeah, I think the previous episodes suggested. So
Does that
he's
have more
already
to do with
dead.
Yang Wenli's
I think we
sort
saw
of...
this in a...
Sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't know what I was saying. Carry on.
I was just saying that in reference to him not seeming that close to what's his name? Jean-Luc?
Lap.
Lap.
Jean-Luc.
Not seeming that close to Lap is that just because of Yang Wenli doesn't seem that close to anyone? Like his whole vibe, it feels quite, I don't know.
Yeah, he's quite aloof.
Aloof
Except
is the
with
word.
Julian, right? The only person he seems to be able to open up to. But even then, Julian does seem kind of baffled by him a lot of the time. So we have this flashback scene where they first become aware of Jessica, where they're like watching her through the window in what looks like a classic kind of American college scene, and she's just playing piano, which is creepy, but way sweeter than I expected the scene to be when it started. They're both just sort of admiring her from afar. And they agree to go to this dance to basically wingman each other in the hopes of wooing her. And this dance that they go to, it looks exactly like the dance from Back to the Future.
It does, yeah.
The Under the Sea dance from Back to the Future. Exactly like it.
I mean, it's a good reference to pull. It's a great scene.
Yep.
Then they flip a coin, yes?
They flip a coin. Yang wins. He gets to go and dance with Jessica. And in a classic piece of characterization, a little bit of show not tell, we watch him messing up the dance completely. It's so... Subtlety is overrated. Yang Wenli can't deal with social situations or physicality and struggles with women. Did you have a different read on this scene, or?
That's exactly how I read it, yeah.
Yeah.
Tough day for Yang Wenli.
Jean-Robert Lap, not the best wingman ever, I'd say.
No, yeah, steps in immediately to be like...
It's like, you lost your chance, not going to help you out, I should just make things worse.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't respect the coin. I think that's a...
don't think he gave the coin long enough to work its magic, yeah.
Exactly. The coin decided.
Magic Wenli.
Yeah. And we see then Lap and Jessica dancing, and then we kind of complete a narrative circle, right? Like Lap was killed in the very first episode, and we knew that Jessica was his wife or fiance, and that Yang Wenli had some connection to them, and now we kind of understand why and where it came from.
It's crazy how the little things can change the course of history. Like if Yang Wenli had taken one more dance lesson, could have been him dead in the first episode.
Yeah. So true. Yeah.
It's the butterfly effect at work.
Yeah. Yeah. We also see we're kind of just going blow by blow with this episode. The problem with this episode is there's only one major theme or lesson, as far as I'm concerned, which is there's a naivety on Yang Wenli's part. He's used by a politician. He feels guilty about it, and he learns by the end of the episode the power that he has as an individual in these situations, and to be careful with it in the future. We see him at the restaurant having the anthem sung to him, and we see him at the end where he sort of corrects his mistake to some extent by being a bit more coy with the journalists. But besides that, I kind of wrote in my notes that I found the episode fun but kind of boring. A lot of the other stuff in the episode is mostly filler or characterization, which we kind of already knew.
Yeah, I think it is lacking a bit in themes or like new ideas or given that we've had to go through sort of scene by scene with not too much to talk about. And I think, yeah, like you say, we already knew most of these things about the Republic. We're just getting a bit more of it. Seeing very, very slight changes and maybe Yang's position in it, like now that he's well known.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree with you guys. I think if this is the portion of the episode where we ask, what would we have done were we writing this?
Yep.
I think I would have tried to combine this episode with the next episode and cut between them, because I didn't think either of them were deserving of the full 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And maybe there are ways to like cross cut between the two that would have led to some dramatic irony or, just juxtaposing them would have been impactful in some way. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe when we talk about the next episode, it'll give us a chance to consider both of these together and the sort of shared themes that they might have. It's harder to discuss.
Yeah,
episode by episode.
I think at the very least, this episode could have benefited from a B plot. We kind of focused very much on Yang and Julian, and it would have been nice if they had brought like Walter along with them or someone. And you could have reinforced the ideas of the A plot with some classic Simpsons story structure and bring them both together at the end. But all in all, I think it's a pretty good episode, and it was nice to see Yang in his prime or in his youth before all of this happened.
You know, one thing I would have loved to have seen is Julian after he gets sent home to the hotel to go to sleep.
Yeah,
what his night ended up looking like. What did he do?
Yeah.
The misadventures he got up to.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty good split, I think, to do something there and have Julian, because Julian is so much in the shadow of Yang Wenli most of the time in the show. Having an opportunity for him to do stuff independently or on his own, it's kind of a missed opportunity. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think that would have been quite cool, and to like see how he feels about it. Like you see, all you really get is the shot of him standing in the street after he's been abandoned, and you have to read into how he's feeling. Like, how annoyed is he? Was he just confused, or does he feel like the right decision was made and he should just go back to the hotel and stay safe? Or it's an opportunity to like find out what his character is like. Is he well behaved, or is he reckless? I don't know. We don't get to see that.
The episode has a fake out Chekhov's gun, right? Like we see Julian with a gun in the first scene in the hotel, and then the gun is never used again. Right?
I don't think that's a Chekhov's gun.
No. What I mean is, it seems like a Chekhov's gun, right? Like you see that Julian has the gun, you see him put it back in the suitcase, and then the scene ends, and then he never pulls out the gun again. What I'm saying is, if you were going to have a Julian B plot, that seems like a good thing to structure it around.
I think if he had his B plot, then yes, it would have been in Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
But because I think they never focus on him again, it isn't.
I know. Yeah, I know it's not. I was saying I feel a bit faked out by it, right? That
you wanted the Chekhov's gun.
I was hoodwinked by a setup with no payoff. I guess the other major narrative side of this is that Jessica Edwards is now running for position, and she wins an absolutely insane 80% of the popular vote, which to me sounds like that sounds like it was rigged. But like, what do I know? I don't know what kind of political system they're running in the Republic.
They just the Yang Wenli's commanding officer just seems to make the point that like it's like a martyr vote, right? Because Thorndyke died. So
absolutely,
yeah. We sort of
and I guess right, yeah,
in our retelling, but
Thorndyke dies in a terrorist bombing, right?
And they nearly make out, but then the explosion goes off.
That's true.
It's happened to the best of us.
Yeah,
that's the moment Yang Wenli decides terrorism is bad.
Yeah.
I was on the fence before, but but now that I've been personally affected, I don't know. I made a note of it. I don't think it's very important, but there's a tree in in their school, in their academy. It's the same tree as every Japanese high school and every single anime ever made. Like, I don't know why, but there is always a giant tree outside of every high school and every TV show made in Japan. And it's just funny seeing it in Legend of the Galactic Heroes, as opposed to like, something where you'd expect it to be.
That might be, this might be my like profession showing through, but like planning considerations usually have like greenery requirements and things like that, like greening. And so a simple requirement fulfilling that might just be put a fucking tree in the courtyard.
Yeah, a massive tree. Yeah.
And then we've filled the green requirements for this school building.
Yep. That's possible. Trees in Tokyo, by the way, are very weird. Like the tree politics. Like local authorities get a certain amount of money to cut down trees every year. And if they don't fulfill their quota, then they don't get that money the next year. And so people are just aggressively chop down trees in certain neighborhoods in Tokyo. It's a real problem.
I thought you would want to increase the number of trees.
Yeah, but you've created like financial incentives for people to chop down trees because they get a certain amount of money from the metropolitan government to chop them down. And if they don't use it, they don't get it next year.
What
a crazy world.
Is the air quality bad in Tokyo? Or is it fine? Or is it?
I'd say it's about comparable to London. Everyone in Tokyo says it's really bad, but I don't actually think it's as bad as people think.
It might be a little bit better than London.
Maybe,
but I'm not sure. Yep. It's hard to really judge.
I don't live in central Tokyo either, so I live in a pretty green neighborhood, to be honest. So
cool, that's good. Yeah, London, they just opened the ULEZ for this reason, right? They just started that.
Yeah, I remember being on, we're going really off topic, but I remember being on Euston Road in London. If you've ever been to London, the Euston Road is, you've been there. I know you've been there. And I think Kamel's been there twice. Yep. The Euston Road is so polluted. There's just like a thick cloud of smoke. And if you look down the Euston Road during the summer, it's just like, it's like being in Victorian London or something. Like you can't see that far. It's absolutely horrible. So, I think it'll probably be good for the city.
Yeah, agreed.
So anyway, the bomb goes off.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of people die, including Thorndyke. And then that just sets up the end of the episode, I guess, like you were saying. Like Jessica has to step into the role of being the leader of the party, running for election, and then she wins by a big margin.
Yeah. And we set up a romance between Yang and Jessica. That's now
Yang Wenli's commanding officer sets up a romance between him and Frederica as well.
Oh,
right?
what a crazy situation! From one tomboy girlfriend to another. Who will Yang choose? I also made a note that I really hate Frederica's hair. I think maybe I talked about this in the last episode.
I don't know.
It's really, it's so off-putting.
She's got like this.
She's got like this mullet, but then like it's really long at the back.
Yeah. Now I do know. I did sort of think
genuinely awful. It's so terrible.
Like in two kind of distinct layers, it looks like at the back. Almost.
Yeah.
Like a mullet.
I can't unsee it now. Like after I was like, this is really bad hair design, character design. It's bad hair, and then I just can't unsee it.
It's appropriate for the mid '80s, though. No.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you think you would have loved it in the mid '80s?
Maybe, but then I love a lot of things about the '80s, and maybe this kind of mullet hasn't quite made it.
I think the mullet is back though.
Yeah, that's true. But the mullets that people have now don't look like this. Like they're not like a single block of hair coming down the back of her neck. and then otherwise like a completely cohesive haircut. Like anyway, we'll talk about it again in future episodes, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's going to keep coming up.
Yeah, that's a theme.
Yeah.
The final thing I think we should say about the episode is it ends with a one-liner from the narrator after Jessica Edwards has been elected, after Yang Wen-lee's little romantic comedy moment. The narrator just says, the FPA votes to invade Imperial territory and start war.
Right. Yep. Yeah, these are the end of the good times, right? Like we don't get to see it in the next episode, but this is the beginning of the next big arc.
I just like that it was put that way, as if it was inevitable. Of course it was going to go that way, so why even bother investigating it with a scene or anything?
Yeah. Even after Jessica's victory, even after all that stuff.
That shit doesn't matter. They're going to war. Yeah.
I like the narrator. He always talks to you as if you, of course, already know what happened as well. Like the way that it seems to be phrased is always something like, but of course this didn't last. And next, the battle for Middle Earth truly began. Something like this.
Yeah.
But of course, we all knew that. We were just filling some time for a bit.
Yeah, that's enough of Yang Wen-lee's crazy hijinks. As you well know, billions will die in the next few years. You're like, oh, right, okay.
Don't expect any more fun episodes like this again with romance and terrorism and basketball and the Looney Tunes. It's no, we don't have time for that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you have almost just described what the plot of the next episode, I would say.
Yeah. The narrator being like, the wacky hijinks are over, and then we get a whole nother episode of wacky hijinks.
Maybe wackier.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to episode 11. The craziest, most soap opera-y episode that we've had so far. It's a real trip. Who's going to read the synopsis?
Yes, it's my turn to read one.
Yeah.
A lot of names in this one as well. Episode 11. God. The actress exists. She doesn't exist. She does exist until she doesn't. Episode 11. The actress exits.
God, this is a rough start.
Susanna von Bienemunde. Can we just agree on this one? Benemunde? Benemunde? Do you think I don't think I pronounced the last.
It's got the umlaut, so it's like ooh. Benemunde. Munde.
I'll just say in my notes I've referred to her as either Susanna or Lady B.
Lady B, yeah.
I say Lady B.
Susanna von B, a former consort of the Kaiser Frederick IV, driven mad by loneliness and forsaken love, determines to murder the Kaiser's current favorite concubine, Anna Rose von Grunwald, in the hope that it will return her to Friedrich IV's favor. She conspires with Baron Flegel, who hopes to use a scandal involving Anna Rose to remove her brother, Reinhard von Lohengram, from power. Flegel and Lady B intend to abduct and murder Anna Rose and to place her body with that of a similarly killed commoner, framing the scene as though it was a lover's suicide. Anna Rose is successfully abducted, but quickly rescued by her brother's subordinate admirals, Siegfried Kircheis, along with Oskar von Reuenthal, Wolfgang Mittenmeier, and Paul von Oberstein. With her conspiracy unraveled and her schemes exposed, Susanna is offered the option of suicide via poison in lieu of execution. However, she tries to resist and is ultimately forced to consume the poison. The treacherous Baron Flegel, however, was able to conceal his involvement in the affair and escape unpunished. Although both Reinhard von Lohengram and Paul von Oberstein suspected Flegel's involvement in the crime, they lacked the proof necessary to convict him. Flawless. Single take. As usual.
Yeah. Not the most concise summary of the episode, but
a little long-winded,
Yeah. But no typos this time, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, unless the names are... I think the names are probably spelt wrong. That's probably why I had trouble pronouncing them.
That's probably right,
That's probably why.
Overall impressions of this episode?
They should have cut it. They should have not shown this one. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something I need to know for future episodes. But you know how like there are viewing guides for One Piece and stuff where they say you don't need to watch these ones.
Yeah,
this is surely one of the ones you wouldn't need to watch for Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
I don't think it adds much to a little. Less so than the last one. I think we learn even less. I think the narrator sums it up at the end by saying something like, "Here we have seen the decadence," or something like this present in the.
Or the court has descended into decadence and rivalry, or something like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, we already knew that.
Yeah.
Like, what's been established in this episode?
I guess it's like the last two episodes have been an excuse to put a few more women in the show, which is something that we probably end up talking about, because they don't get a lot of screen time in general. And
no,
this episode in particular, like more so than Jessica's one, is more about apparently the female experience of courtly life in the decline of the Empire. Could it have been more interesting if that's the only time we're going to see it? Maybe.
I will say I had fun with the episode. It's kind of just a wacky romp through soap opera drama. But yeah, it doesn't, as you say, it doesn't add anything at all. I can tell you now, spoiler free, none of this stuff is going to be important in the future. Susanna von B doesn't come back up. I don't think ever.
She exits.
She exits exactly, but she also enters in this episode. So you don't get to do that. I don't think you can't be like, at last her story comes to a dramatic close that we started 20 minutes ago. My favorite thing. Oh, sorry, go on, come on.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say my favorite thing about the episode is just that we got to see Royenthal and Mittermeier for the first time doing their, stuff together, right? Like they've been in the show, they've been in the background. We've seen them like saying stuff to each other. We've never seen them in action or solving a problem together. So that's like one cool thing about the episode.
I do like that bit where they're like in the car, and it doesn't really make. I've seen this a few times now, and I think Joel sent us the video of it or like a screenshot a few weeks ago when we were supposed to record, where they're just like they do in the car, and the car goes past in the other direction with Anna Rose in, and you barely see her, and you barely see the two of them look round at the car, and they just look at each other and just to go, they're like, was that Anna Rose? They're like, yeah, weird. And you're like, I don't know. Was it weird? And then they both like turn together to look back through the back window of the car, and you see them like framed, like the shot is taken, so you're like looking through the window, just the two of them looking together at the screen, which is just quite funny. It's a
great shot.
It's a good shot that I guess like kind of connects them a bit more as characters. You see them together in this shot, and you're like, these guys kind of come as a pair. I just thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, they do always come as a pair. They're basically the Mark and Jeremy of the show, with almost the same dynamic. I would I would argue, yeah. Anyway, they only appear at the end, so maybe we should go through some of the other shenanigans that take place.
How does it start? The narrator starts by discussing how everything's kind of descended into hedonism and, I don't know, just the collapse of the Goldenbaum dynasty. And he talks about how Frederick IV. So I think we had an episode about him before that we thought was quite interesting when he's doing the gardening and stuff at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And we find out that he was like fourth in line or something like this, and just a bunch of people fought with each other and killed each other, and he ended up on the throne instead. and he has no interest in politics or really running the country or anything at all. But he is kind of a womanizer, and he used to have this favorite, Susanna, and now she's been displaced because of other women that he's had an interest in, and that current interest is Lohengramm's older sister, Anna Rose. It does say that 10 years have passed since Anna Rose has been like brought in under the Kaiser's affection or whatever, which seems like quite a long time for Susanna to have harbored this grudge and not done anything about it till now. But maybe it's just built up over a long time and she's at the end of her rope.
I agree. It seems strange that she's taken so long to. I guess maybe it's the introduction of Reinhardt that's the big like change that takes place. That like this new force kind of gives her the impetus that she needs to actually do something about it.
And I suppose she starts getting. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess Flegel manipulates her into doing it. Yep.
Yeah. What do we think of this guy?
Flegel?
Fan favorite?
He seems like a stand-up guy. I'm sure that his storyline will be normal and and won't go to any crazy places.
He seems like the kind of guy who the word sniveling was invented for.
Yeah. He has that energy for sure.
He's related to the Kaiser in some way. Is that right? Is he like a nephew? Nephew?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was so funny. There's a scene where Susanna von B is having a conversation about Anna Rose with the Prime Minister, von Lichtenlied, or whatever he's called.
Yeah.
And he leaves, the Prime Minister leaves, and then like 1 second later, Flegel like comes into the room and he's like, I couldn't help overhearing while I was eavesdropping on your conversation. An incompetent schemer. Let me bring up my notes.
One thing, the emperor. What's his title? Frederick the Fourth. What's his title?
Kaiser.
He takes Anne Rose in at 15.
Yeah. Creepy.
Not good.
Yeah. He would nowadays. I think he would probably be cancelled at least. I wanted to. It's like a hard turn, but the candles in Susanna von B's chambers are like glow sticks that have been jammed into candelabras. Like the whole candle is like lit up, and it is so deeply funny to me. And I had forgotten whether the show does this a lot, and I really hope that they come up again, because these like glow stick candles are so off-putting. Like they were off-putting in every scene that I watched with her in. Maybe I can try and find a picture.
Because I did not notice this at all.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
I think it's a second viewing thing. I didn't notice the first time through, and the second time through, yeah, I was like, how did I not see this? There's like the glow sticks you have at like a concert or something that have just been like jammed into a candelabra.
Lady B likes to rave, you know?
Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, yeah, she looks like she would rave. She looks like she'd party.
They did say the court would descend into hedonism and stuff, you know?
Yep. Yep. We're kind of just going blow by blow again, because we'll talk about the themes, I guess, at the end and all this kind of stuff. But I have a note about, we open with Reinhardt and Kircheis talking, and they're basically talking. They're like, he's talking about like a dream he had.
Yeah.
And it really just, I couldn't not think about that Vine, like, bro, I had a dream we fucked. Bro, it's just a dream. Like, that was It's like it's very like overly sentimental and just doesn't really add anything at all to the story. Like I don't understand why we opened with this. We just my only guess is that like because the show was coming out on TV originally, having these like reminders to the audience of what the characters stand for or what they you know, it's kind of you experience the same thing with Twin Peaks where like a lot of information is repeated, which doesn't feel very modern. So that's my only thinking. But
I guess the point of what he's saying in a rather ridiculously poetic way is that we've come so far so quickly, and it sometimes that feels like a dream in a sense, like because it seems I don't know, it's sort of unrealistic for us to have come so far. So maybe I'm just dreaming, and actually I'm going to wake up and I'll be a child again, and whatever. And I think I don't know. Yeah, Kirkiais gets very poetic about this. I guess it's Logram doesn't really seem to really care. He's just kind of looking at him like talking about.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that scene is after Kirkiais finishes describing his dream. And Graham is like, anyways, I got this note.
Yeah.
It's like, that reminds me of this. And you're like, it's not really that connected, but okay.
It's nice though that he let him talk about his dream for so long. You know, that's like a sign of a good friend, you know. It is like, I had this dream and then this happened and then this happened. And Graham's like, oh yeah, man, that's cool. That's interesting.
I don't know that it's a sign of a good writer though. Maybe.
No. Yeah, that's true. It's we've got to have a dreamy-eyed Kirkiais and Lowengram scene every time we're in the Empire. So it's kind of the tax that you pay for every. Well, it's not even a tax. It's part of the ride, you know. When we're focusing on the Empire.
Yeah.
Did they reveal? Maybe I forgot this, but the note Lowengram talks about is from someone saying, "Hey, so Lady B is trying to kill Lady G, your sister."
Yeah.
But do they reveal who that was from?
No, they don't. They don't reveal directly. I'm
not sure if we're supposed to guess or whether we're supposed to not know, and it's just some random person. Like the rumors are just spreading, and not everyone's on the same side or something. Or whether we're supposed to guess that it was Oberstein or something like this. It was the only person I could really think of who we might be supposed to know who did it, because at the end he says, "Oh, I know who's behind all this," but I don't have any proof. So he's kind of the only person I could think of. But then I don't know why he wouldn't just tell Lowengram, because that's what he usually does. So just a plot device, really, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it is just a plot device. The only person I could think that could have delivered that is Flagel's assistant, who's like the only other person who's in on the scheme. And it does seem pretty uncertain about the whole thing the whole way through.
Was the plan to kill Lady G leaks to everyone and the rumors spread. I think the narrator says this. Is this deliberate on Flagel's part, or is it he is so inept that he can't keep these things secret?
Right, yeah.
I wasn't sure if he meant for that deliberately to happen and for it to be blamed on Lady B, or if it was, I can't I've got the worst fucking attorneys who can't keep this shit secret.
He does say that he wants rumors to be spread so that she'll get the blame and then he'll be ignored. But he is obviously inept, right? Like we've not seen him do anything impressive or intelligent since the show started. And there's a bit where Lowengram says he's basically completely beneath his notice, right? Which is the only reason that Flagel seems to get away with anything. That Lowengram doesn't really see him as a threat. Yeah. God, yeah. We've got some exciting Flagel stories coming up. That's all I can say.
So anyway, they what else even happens? They come up with this stupid scheme, and
It is so dumb. It's so stupid. The whole scheme is so terrible. Like, you gotta go. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna like retell what happened. Really, they just jump in if you have any notes. They come up with a scheme. They kidnap Anna Rose and take her to some mansion in the woods, and they're gonna try and make her drink poison and then frame her with this random commoner. And
so fucking stupid.
It's so dumb. Yeah.
And then, just by chance, Mr. Meyer and Royenthal see Anna Rose being driven away in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they would have got away with it if that hadn't happened. It's all a bit strange.
Yeah, I mean, I think the show establishes that Mittermeier and Royenthal are kind of on the ball with this stuff, and that's one of their strengths as characters. They're very observant and astute and all this kind of stuff. But they also are just lucky in this episode. That they see someone go past. Also, okay, there's a few things about this plot that make absolutely no sense to me. So they kidnap Anna Rose, they take her to this chalet in the mountains, and then Susanna von B says, "I want you to drink this poisoned wine." And then she opens her little poison ring, right? Like her I can't remember what it's called, but poison ring. And she tips the poison into the wine in front of Anna Rose. Now, I'm no expert in the art of poisoning, but I think that if you own a poison ring, the point of it, probably the main point of it, is that you're able to do these things in secret, right? Without you avoid the notice of whoever you're poisoning. It's hard to. I don't know. It seems like you're giving up a massive, and Susanna's like dressed like I think I made a note about this crazy velvet dress that she's in. She's like dressed like a supervillain, and she's just loving it, like the drama of the whole thing.
It's the henchmen, right? The kidnappers who are dressed like
like
literal highwaymen.
Yeah.
So funny, like where they're like the kidnapper and he's got like the mask with the top hat on. It's so extra, like the whole theatrical aspect of it. It just seems to me that if she wanted to kill Anna Rose, her goal was to disgrace Anna Rose, and this is a bad plan to do that, because if you found someone dead with a commoner, I think just like the last thing on your mind would be like, this is a lover's suicide. What would you?
Yeah.
Why? That wouldn't be what you'd expect. You'd be like, these doesn't make a lick of sense, is what I'm saying. The whole plan seems really dumb.
I think as far as the poisoning a bit goes, that she I mean, she's also not very bright either, but she seems to want to really experience the revenge upon Anna Rose that she feels is justified. To see her scared, see her in terror, and to sort of torment her, watch her drink the poison that she knows is poison, all this kind of stuff. Which doesn't make for a very good assassination, I would say. But, this is kind of what she wanted.
Yeah.
She could have gone for efficacy, but she chose theatricality.
And
that was more valuable to her. Like the episode is called An Actress Exits. I'm not clear that they ever established that she was or is an actress, except on the inside, which she definitely is.
We see them that her first appearance is at the Opera House, right? And I don't think it was. I don't know if she was like in that particular production.
I didn't see her on stage. I didn't get the impression.
Stage. No,
yeah, I
thought she was in the audience.
Yeah. But
Sure.
certainly, there are repeated themes of the theatre and acting, right? You have like the opera house that they start in. You have the guy dressed as the Phantom of the Opera who does the kidnapping. You have just Susanna's whole vibe, like her obsession with theatricality and
even like the darkness bit at the end where Oberstein pulls all the lights and then stuff happens. Like lights come back on. It's like it feels very
stage light.
Stage light, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the portion where I rewrite the episode.
Okay, go
I
for it.
think I would have. I did not like this, but I think I would have if they fully went 100% into the theatrical operatic direction for the whole episode. Like it was fully scored end to end with like
a
an opera
musical
score. Yes, and like
Yeah.
they sang the dialogue and like treated it in that way. I think I would have fully been on board for this episode.
You're saying they should have done it like a Community episode or something where it's just inexplicably a musical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would have worked for me.
Yeah.
Especially if you treat it as it's all being from Lady B's point of view.
I mean, that's definitely a way you could do it. Like, yeah, if you had her, especially if it established that she was an actress, that's how the Kaiser fell in love with her, and then you have her degrading mental state as part of the setting or part of the viewpoint of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So everything takes on this like theatrical quality. It would have been a stronger episode for sure.
They maybe also should have turned her ring, which shows up all of a sudden, is used instantly in the wrong way, and turned it into like Chekhov's ring. Like maybe she's fiddling with it at the beginning of the episode or something. Like they focus on it repeatedly, and then they reveal its use. That would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been good.
I just got this fucking ring.
Oh, they could have made it like a gift from the Kaiser or something when she was in favor. That would have been cool.
That would have been very cool. Yeah. She'd had it like hollowed out, you know? I also think since she dies of poison anyway, like she has to drink poison wine, the same fate that she was supposed to, and it's framed as if like, oh, this is all her fault, you know, like she fucked around and then she found out. Why don't she just drink the wine instead by accident? You want it to be like a theatre thing, make it properly Shakespearean, where she tries to poison Anna Rose and then accidentally drinks her own poison and dies. To me, that feels...
It shouldn't have been a trial, right? It should have been the PM inviting her to tea to discuss things, and then she drinks the wine and then realizes.
Yeah.
I think the brutality of that last scene, though, is quite a little bit shocking.
It is shocking, yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It's like disturbing in a way that I don't think the show has been up to this point. It's definitely the most powerful part of the episode. Most effective.
Yeah, maybe you could say that.
She spits in Lowengraham's face.
Yeah.
She does. And also, when she's saying Your Majesty as she's dying, she reaches out her hand and Lowengraham is in the frame as she's reaching out her hand. Subtlety is overrated. Yeah.
Maybe this episode was good. I don't know. I think I'm being convinced.
Yeah, we're changing our minds on this.
Yeah, when you get to the end and you're like, the whole theatrical thing is kind of juxtaposed against this brutal final scene.
Yeah.
Which kind of shows you, despite the empire kind of collapsing in this hedonistic way, it's still you still see the rules of how they how they
still has the capacity for brutality. And certainly like that trial is set up like a stage production, right? Like she's in the center and she's acting out. She's, you know, it feels like a Greek tragedy, like the end of a Greek tragedy.
Yeah.
I think the episode could have... Go on.
I was just saying that scene is good, just as you described it, yeah.
I think the episode should have leaned harder into this. I don't necessarily agree that it should have been a musical, as fun as that would have been. But I definitely think you could have leaned way more into the theatre of it, made it much more of a sort of centerpiece episode, because it is basically filler. There's a few important plot points that we get, but it's mostly filler. You could have made it way more fun by really leaning into the Shakespeare or the tragedy of the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. It should have had more Lady B, I think. If this is all we get of her.
Yeah. I mean, it is all we get, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think she's coming back.
No, I don't think she's coming back.
I find the sequence of events that follows her death a little confusing in terms of what... So, Lowengraham tells his sister that she died of suicide.
Yeah.
And then his sister's like, please forgive her. She didn't mean anything. She's just like sad. Don't worry about her.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, but she's dead now. And then the narrator reveals that the court told everyone she died of illness.
Yes. Yeah. I think he probably means the public, right? Not like the court itself. Like the court told the public that she died of illness.
I understand, but my point is, doesn't that make Lowengrams clear that he's lying, or
that she died of suicide?
Yeah, because his sister would have also heard the public pronouncement that she died of illness.
Oh, I see. I mean, I think Lowengram. Yeah, it's complicated.
I guess I don't understand the virtue of his lie.
I don't think it's virtuous. I think that she is sentenced to die by suicide, right? Like they give her the opportunity to die by suicide. And during that trial or during the carrying out of that justice, she does not do that. And she is basically forced into drinking the wine. But in the eyes of the court, this was a punishment by suicide. And that's what they'll call it.
I think what happens to her, and then to describe that as suicide to someone else feels like a lie, even if it's technically true.
Yeah. I think it's a lie. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's clear necessarily whether Lowengram is his view of justice, or that is his view of what took place, or not, because we've already kind of established that he is a little bit sociopathic, and doesn't have, So.
I'm sure he feels it was just. I mean, she spat in his face, you know?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think having the system that the empire and the court have set up to allow people to kind of be punished in this way gives everyone the get out to keep face while carrying out capital punishment by death, basically. Like everybody kind of knows that, oh yeah, she committed suicide, but everybody also knows that that's not really what happened. Like even if she had drunk the poison, she was basically sentenced to death and forced into it, which is not really the same thing, but it gives everyone an excuse not to really talk about it, but to know what happened. And it seems I agree like a long-standing kind of tradition. Like it suggests that the justice system in the empire is built up over a long time to provide these sorts of solutions to these sorts of problems. And Lowengram is like fully just a part of the empire, so he, just carries on just like everybody else does in this situation.
Yeah. I think in that situation, you may see it as a mercy on someone's reputation to say that they died of suicide rather than to say they had to be forced to drink the wine.
Is Lady B the first concubine or that Frederick IV had?
I think it says that Friedrich had like loads of concubines, right? Like, but Susanna was maybe his last favorite.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it might have been interesting to show, like, I would have done a full loop thing of like opening with Lady B as a young woman, as the favorite, seeing the previous favorite being killed by her drinking the wine.
That would have been pretty good. Yeah.
That it's like she doesn't matter in this. Like she's just the next person, and if this continued, it would have happened to Anne Rose too. 10 years from now. Yeah, maybe I do like this episode more than I experienced it watching it.
I think it's very rough around the edges, but I don't know. It has some fun moments.
So if you could describe the theme of both of these episodes together, would you describe it as like romantic failure or
theme of both of these episodes? I think both episodes are about the political systems of the two sides and their failures, right? Like how decay, or if you want to call it decadence, has crept into both political systems and how it presents itself. And on the democratic side, that's like state violence, or not, extrajudicial violence, like paramilitary violence. And on the empire side, it's these sham trials and sort of just brutality to women in the court. And I think both episodes are tied together. In any other show, I would not say that this is a linking factor, but the fact that we have a female central character in both cases is very unusual for Legend of the Galactic Heroes. So I can't help but feel that that is an intentional link, that we see how women are living in these two societies, and what the cost to them is. Yeah. I guess the theme is decadence, if you're going to call it anything. Yeah. That would be my assessment.
I didn't get a big decadent vibe from the first one.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's not so much decadence then. I don't know. But like, you see the in a healthy democracy, people shouldn't be singing the national anthem to war heroes in restaurants, right? Like, this is clearly a something that's falling apart on the inside. I guess that's what I mean. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of see what you mean. I just think the first episode speaks to the broader systems at play in the society that they're living in the FPA. But the second story feels so, the way I remember it, feels so personally about Lady B. Or maybe that's how I wish it was. And, clearly there are conditions created by the Empire that allow for the situation to occur, and the consequences of those characters' actions to happen the way they do. But feels so specifically about her, and how she feels, which it doesn't seem so character based in the first episode.
All right, yeah.
7 out of 10.
For both?
No, they don't feel like 7s to me. They feel like 6s.
Yeah. I sadly feel that both the episodes weren't very strong. They're like, okay. It's kind of wild watching the show at such a slow pace, and there's a lot of episodes in the early show that are doing world building or establishing setting, and they do it not super effectively always, but like, what you remember when you look back on the show after you finished is like the melodrama of these titanic political figures like Reinhardt and Yang Wenli, and their big argument, their big discussion that they have on the battlefield. And it's kind of wild going back and watching these episodes about like the Freedom Party and hailing a cab and drinking poison wine and stuff.
The first time around when you guys watched this show, did you watch like every day or?
Yeah, I think it was during the pandemic actually, and we'd have like the whole evening to just watch Legends of the Galactic Heroes. So we were just watching multiple episodes at a time. Still took us a while to get through.
Yeah. Still a long show.
Yeah.
It's like 120 episodes, right?
111, I think.
Okay, so now we're at 10% of the way through now.
10% of the way through, yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but you need to do this 9 more times. I actually think that we haven't spoken about this since we last recorded, that we went back to Isilon Fortress with a friend of ours, the like cafe.
Cool.
And I did try and get you a video of the Thor's cannon being fired, but I
you were obliterated in the process, so you couldn't get the video.
Yeah.
What is it? So when you say it fires, what is it, like a light show or?
I think I told you, it's like a blowtorch.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
with a little Isilon fortress on the end.
I think a better use for space lasers would be to light food on fire,
Hmm,
to like just grill it.
that's fair. Yeah, you just sort of hold your microwave, like macaroni cheese outside your window, and you request an orbital strike, like in Gears of War or something.
Hmm. I don't want to give anything away, but I think you're really going to enjoy episode 12. The Julian macaroni scene is extremely good.
Yeah. You shouldn't spoil yourself, Mel. This may or may not happen in the show.
Cool. That's episodes 10 and 11, right?
Yeah. What rating would you give them, Tom?
I think 6 and 6 is all right. I don't think they're bad episodes. I think they're both quite fun. See some more of some of the characters we've not seen too much of so far. I don't think we have many women-heavy episodes coming up ever again. So it's really not true. But I don't know. Fine, 6 and 6 seems okay.
Yeah, I got to agree. 6 and 6. I would like to start a new count that we do every episode, if it's allowed. For big planes, like massive planes.
There were some big planes, like
big plane count. Yeah, because we've had a couple of episodes now. Yeah, where the commercial airliners are just like comically large, like they're just like normal sized wings, and just this enormous fuselage. Like, it's like this is the vision of the future that they had for Legend of Galactic Heroes. Nothing has changed except the planes are much bigger, and everyone eats in fancy dining rooms.
They're bigger in a in a bus sense. Yeah. Most of the planes the same size, but the middle bit, the bit that holds the people, is it is 4 times the size.
Have you guys ever flown on one of those double-decker like airliners?
Yeah, I've been on A380 a couple of times, like the really big one. But I mean, it just feels like being on a plane.
Yeah.
Like, have you been on one? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the bit that's different is when you walk up or down the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like they kind of fell out of favor again, right? Like there was an era of big planes, and now it's over.
Is it just not economical for like fuel and reasons and stuff?
Yeah, we're going way off topic, and we're obviously going to leave this in the show. But back in the day, everyone was like, passenger numbers are what matters. But then oil got really expensive.
What?
Then they were like,
you can't just drop stuff like that, Joel.
Yeah. God, my investments.
I
got to talk to my accountant.
I haven't checked on them. We got to wrap this up. I need to get on the phone.
Yeah. Say oil is expensive. God.
Thanks for listening to this episode of In the Skies of Love. We hope you enjoyed our discussion of Legend of the Galactic Heroes. If you have any comments or questions, please reach out to us at intheskiesoflove@gmail.com. You can find me on the internet at HiKamel on Twitter, and you can't find the other guys anywhere. Tune in next time for our reviews of episodes 12 and 13. Until then, we'll see you in the skies of love.
The years keep coming and they don't stop coming. Back to the road and you hit the ground running.
What song is that?
It didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb.
Sometimes it's too much to do, too much to see.
I mean, what's wrong with taking the back streets? I mean, you'll never know if you don't go.